Hi there, welcome to this Moonstruck Knits video. I'm Natasha and today I want to share my beautiful Sylphe shawl with you. This shawl feels like spring on your needles and around your shoulders, not only because of the color, which is Rowan felted tweed in sulfur, but also because of the lovely leaf pattern that organically morphs into this spectacular flower border. The leaves and flowers are created by pulling loops through the knitted fabric. Since this technique is not super common, I've put together a detailed tutorial for you. And I promise after watching, those loopy leaves and flowers will be a breeze. So for now, let's dive in and pull some loops. We will start with the loopy leaves. You could think of the stitch pattern as stems from which left and right facing leaves emerge. The stem is formed by a column of knit stitches against a reverse stockinette background, and the leaves are sprouting from this stem. Each leaf consists of 3 loops, and the right-facing leaf is worked slightly differently from the left-facing leaf. Let's start with the first row on the right side for a leaf that faces right. My swatch has 2 edge stitches which are knitted. Then knit 1 for the first stem and purl 3 to get to the spot where you will need to pull the first loop for the right-facing leaf. Yarn to the back. Insert your right hand needle in the center of the first stitch beneath the third stitch on your left hand needle. Wrap as if to knit and pull the yarn through. Adjust the tension of the loop, place it on your left hand needle and knit. Continue to purl 2. Knit 1. Purl 3. Now you are ready for your second loop. Yarn to the back, insert your needle in the center of the stockinette stem and pull through. Place the loop on your left hand needle and knit. And here you have them, the first segments of the leaf facing right. On the wrong side rows, we are going to restore our stitch counts by purling the loop stitches together with a background stitch. So knit the 2 edge stitches, purl 1, knit 2, and now purl 2 together. That's a loop stitch and a background stitch. As you can see, this nicely anchors the loop stitch to the fabric. And after this, we will continue in pattern knit 2, purl 1, knit 2, and purl 2 together once more. Finish the row in pattern. And this was the first wrong side row. Now let's do row 3. On this row we're going to work a second loop of the leaf. Work as you did on row 1, and when you are ready to pull that loop, maneuver the yarn to the back and insert your needle in exactly the same stitch as you did on the first row. Pull a loop, place it on your left hand needle and knit. Let's do it once more. Purl 2, knit 1, purl 3, and pull a loop from the same stitch or through the same stitch as you did on row 1. Finish the row and then we are ready for our next wrong side row. This is row 4 and it is worked exactly the same as row 2, anchoring the loops and restoring the stitch count using purl 2 togethers. I'll speed up a bit. To show you the last right side row of the pattern. As you can see, there are now 2 segments forming the leaf, and in the next row you are going to create the 3rd segment. Row 5 is the last right side row for this leaf. Again, you will work in pattern until you need to pull a loop. For that loop, insert your needle in the same stitch as you pull the other 2 loops from. As the loops get longer, it's important to keep that tension in check and see if it needs to be a little looser or tighter to lay nice and flat against the fabric. Row 6, which is the last wrong side row of the right facing leaf, is worked exactly the same as row 2 and 4. I'm speeding up and we'll show you the result. And here you have it, a beautiful right facing leaf consisting of 3 loops that lie flat against the fabric. Now let's continue with the leaf facing left. It's worked differently from the leaf facing right because this time you need to work past the stem from which you are going to pull the loops. Pulling the loops from that side is a lot easier when you use a crochet hook. Knit the 2 edge stitches. Knit 1, purl 2, yarn to the back, and with your crochet hook, pull a loop from the first stitch beneath the 3rd stitch on your right hand needle, the center of the stem. Pull the loop through, place it on your left hand needle, and knit. If you look at my loop, I will need to knit it through the back loop so it doesn't become twisted. Continue purl 3, knit 1, and purl 2. Yarn to the back, pull a loop with your crochet hook, place it on your needle, and knit. Watch the tension, and finish the row in pattern. On the wrong side rows, instead of restoring the stitch count with a purl 2 together, we are going to use a slip-slip purl to nicely anchor the loop to the fabric. I will show you two variations of the SSP, or the slip-slip purl. First, the one that is described in the pattern, and then a variation that I find a little easier to do. So here we go. Knit the 2 edge stitches, purl 1, knit 2, and now slip, slip, purl, slip 2 stitches as if to knit one at a time, slip them back to your left hand needle and purl them through the back loop. That was the first variation of the slip, slip, purl, and the one that is described in the pattern. Work in pattern until the next loop stitch. And the second variation of the slip, slip, purl, slip 2 stitches as if to knit one at a time, slip them back in twisted position and knit them through the front loop. Finish the row and we are ready for another loopy row on the right side. On row 3 we are going to pull a second loop for the leaf facing left. Work in pattern until you need to pull a loop. Yarn to the back, insert your crochet hook in the same stitch as you pulled a loop from in row 1, pull that loop, place it on your left hand needle and knit. And to me, this time it looks as if it's not twisted if I knit it through the front loop. It depends on how you pull your loops through your fabric, and just check them and you will see if they are twisted or not, if you need to knit them through the front or the back loop. And another loop. I'm gonna speed up a bit, finishing off this row, and then I'll do a wrong side row, also sped up a bit, because this one is worked in exactly the same way as row 2, using your favorite method for the slip purl. So you can see the leaf is nicely forming, and then we're gonna do the last right side row, row 5. I'll demonstrate one more row, and that is row 5, the last right side row of the pattern, where you are going to pull the third loop for this leaf. As you can see, it's worked like before, pulling the leaf from the same stitch or through the same stitch as you did on row 1 and 3. And after this row, you are going to finish the leaf by working row 6, which is the last wrong side row that is worked as row 2 and 4 with the slip purls. So that was that for the leaves. Now let's do some very cool, gorgeous flowers. You will start the loopy flower pattern by working the 8 rows of lace as charted in the pattern for Sylphe. This will result in a lace pattern with eyelets. To create the flowers, you are going to pull loops through those eyelets. Again, my swatch has 2 edge stitches. First, you are going to knit until the stitch that's in the center of the eyelet triangle. In this case, it's 6 stitches from the edge. Now you are going to pull loops through the eyelets, starting with the upper right eyelet. Place the loop on your left-hand needle and knit. Pull the next loop through the second eyelet, place on your left-hand needle and knit. Do the same for the third and the fourth. There are now loops through all eyelets on the right-hand side of the triangle. Next, you are going to knit 1, which is the center stitch of the triangle, and start pulling loops through the other 4 eyelets, this time in reversed order. Watch your tension, especially with the longer loops. By pulling the loops and knitting them, you have increased 8 stitches, which will be decreased in the next row. I'll show you the entire process once more. Knit 11 stitches until the center stitch of the next eyelet triangle. If you find it awkward to pull a loop through that first eyelet, you can also use a crochet hook. Pull loops through the eyelets as you did before and finish your row by knitting to the end. In the next wrong side row, we are going to restore the stitch count and create the heart of the flower by purling 9 stitches together. First, I'll knit the 2 edge stitches, then purl until I reach the first stitch that was made out of a loop, in this case 6 stitches. Now it's time to purl those 9 stitches together. And it does help if you have reasonably sharp needles to perform this action. Give the yarn a little tug to make it nice and tight. Turn your work so the right side is facing you and knit that stitch through the back loop. Turn your work again. Slip that stitch and purl to the next stitch that was formed out of a loop, which is 11 stitches. purl 9 together, making sure you've got them all. Turn, knit the stitch through the back loop, turn again, slip 1, and purl to the last 2 edge stitches, which in this case, for this swatch, will be knitted. And here is the gorgeous result. That's that for pulling loops. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Here's to happy knitting, and who knows, we might cross paths again for more creative, yarn-filled adventures. Bye now.